Chosen one, I need you to stop where you are and listen to me carefully, because today something very important has quietly changed in your life. You can feel it even if you have not been able to name it yet. There is a lightness settling into a space that used to feel dark. There is a calm beginning to wrap itself around parts of your heart that have only ever known tension. And you might be asking yourself why. You might be wondering what has shifted. You might be searching for a reason for this sudden stillness that has decided to sit beside you today. Perhaps you scrolled through countless other videos before this one, half searching for something you could not name, half hoping something would finally speak directly to the exact place you are standing in right now. So let me speak to you plainly, in the way your spirit has been waiting to hear it. Sunday has arrived, and with it, God has begun something you can no longer miss. You have been through something, chosen one. Something that took more out of you than most people will ever realize. Something you carried for a long time, sometimes in silence, sometimes in tears, sometimes with a brave face, while everything inside you was collapsing. You have fought battles that no one saw you fight. You have carried years of weight that no one helped you carry. You have held on longer than anyone around you thought you would, and some days longer than you yourself thought you could. And not once, not a single time, did God let your light go out. Not once did He abandon you to the dark thing that was chasing you. Even in your hardest moments, there was a hand reaching for you that you could not see. And today, on this Sunday, I want you to finally understand what that hand was doing all along. Type 777 if you trust God's timing in your life. I want you to think for just a moment about everything that word battle actually contains. Because when I say you have fought battles no one saw, I do not mean that lightly. I mean the mornings you had to force your body out of bed when your mind was begging you to stay under the covers and disappear. I mean the smile you wore in public while your heart was breaking in private, because you did not want to burden anyone else with what you were carrying. I mean the prayers you whispered so quietly in the middle of the night that even you could barely hear them, because you were not sure you had the strength to say them out loud. Every single one of those moments mattered. Every single one of them was seen. Nothing you have endured in secret has gone unnoticed by the God who sees in secret and rewards in the open. Do not leave this video. Stay with me, because what I am about to reveal to you is the answer to a prayer you stopped praying because you were afraid you would never receive it. For so long, you have wondered if God had forgotten about the promise. You have wondered if the pain you survived would define you forever. You have wondered if the door that wounded you would ever stay closed, if the cycle would ever end, if you would ever reach the day when it was finally over. And today, I believe you are standing in that moment. Not a moment you manufactured with your own effort, not a moment you forced into existence through your own striving, but a moment that was always coming, that God scheduled for you long before you were born, and that was simply waiting for you to be ready to receive it. Chosen one, this is the confirmation you asked for. This is what the finish line of that long season actually looks like. You may have noticed something breaking loose inside you lately. Maybe it started when you woke up this morning with a feeling you could not quite place, a strange sense that today was not like all the other days. Maybe it happened when you remembered something from the past and felt the sting less sharply than you always had before. Maybe it happened for no reason at all, when you suddenly realized you had not thought about that wound, that person, that fear in a whole day. And that is not a coincidence. The release of your soul has been happening in the invisible, quietly, like the turning of a season that no one watches for but everyone can feel in the air. And the reason you feel it now is that the work inside you has finally reached the point where it can be felt. God does not give you freedom before your readiness is complete. And you became ready in a season nobody was watching you succeed in. Listen to me carefully, because this truth is important. You have not been losing, you have been completing. Every single painful season you have walked through has been collected, finished, and stored as strength. Every tear has been counted and converted into clarity. Every night you almost gave up has been transformed and reworked into a determination you no longer have to fake. The old version of you, the person who repeated the same mistakes, who drew the same wrong kinds of people, who kept reaching for the same dead ends, that version of you has reached its final chapter. And it is time to honor it with gratitude, not to drag it into your future where it no longer belongs. You are not here to keep reliving yesterday. You are here to walk into a morning you have never seen before. And for the first time in a very long time, you get to shine like a new light. There is something you need to let go of today, because today is a release day. It is a Sunday of completion, a day when God has said, you do not have to carry this anymore. It may be a person who has been weighing on your soul and you feel the tension every time their name crosses your mind. It may be a fear that has been deciding your choices for you quietly behind your own back. It may be a guilt you have been punishing yourself with for a mistake you made when you did not know any better. It may be a debt of the heart that you already paid in full but never took back the receipt for. And I need you to hear, chosen one, that whatever it is, God is cutting it loose for you right now. You do not have to fight to keep carrying it any longer. He is not asking you to fix what has already been finished. He is asking you to walk away from a table that has already been cleared. Type 222 if you are ready for your breakthrough. Let me speak plainly for a moment about what it actually costs a soul to release something it has held on to for years. It is not simple. It is not painless. Releasing a person you love deeply, even one who hurt you, requires grieving a version of a future you once imagined with them. Releasing a fear that has protected you in its own broken way requires trusting that you can be safe without it standing guard. Releasing guilt over a mistake requires believing that grace is bigger than your failure, even when your own heart has struggled to believe that for years. None of this release is weightless. But chosen one, the weight of releasing it is nothing compared to the weight of continuing to carry it forever, and you have already done the hardest part. You have already survived the years of carrying it. What remains now is simply the decision to set it down. And I can tell you want to believe me. I can see that hopeful part of you looking at this message, wanting to trust its truth, wanting once more to allow yourself to sit in the word done. But there is also a quieter voice, the one that reminds you of every other time you thought it was over, only to walk through another endless battle afterward. Chosen one, I am not asking you to pretend your past was fine or that you did not suffer real things. I am asking you to understand that the story of your past is not the shape of your future. What you have survived has already changed the direction of your life, whether or not you have fully seen it yet. And this message is not here by accident. God has never brought anything into your life without meaning. He did not bring this to your door to toy with you. You may wonder about the source of these words, but I know what my spirit is showing me. And it is showing me a heart that has finished its long journey and is finally ready to stand in a new place. There is an image I want you to see. A person climbing a very hard mountain in the dark for years. Falling, getting up, falling again, bleeding, questioning, crying, but always climbing. And one night, they reach what they believe is the summit, and they finally collapse and rest. And in the morning, when the sun rises, they look around, and they realize the entire climb was not the final mountain at all. It was the staircase to a new country. That has been the shape of your life. The mountain you climbed was not your final mountain. It was your preparation mountain. And you are not being asked to keep climbing it. You are being asked to step into the country that is now visible, the life you could not see while you were still climbing hard ground. That life is open to you now. It is not a life without hardship, of course. It is the life of a person with new eyes, new strength, and new understanding. It is the life of a chosen one who no longer accepts the place a wound used to keep them in. Think about that climber for a moment longer. Think about how many times on that mountain they must have wondered if the climbing would ever end. Think about the nights the wind was so strong they had to hold onto the rock face just to keep from being blown backward. Think about the moments they looked up and could not even see how much further there was to go, because the darkness swallowed the path ahead of them. That climber did not know, in the middle of the climb, that they were being prepared for a view they could not yet imagine. They only knew the pain of the next handhold, the next foothold, the next breath. And chosen one, that has been you. You have not been able to see the view from where you stood. You have only been able to feel the ache of the climb. But the view was always there, waiting for the moment you reached a high enough place to finally see it. You may still hear something behind you, the noise of your own heart reminding you of what you used to carry, of the part of you that does not yet believe you deserve the word done. That is not the voice you were meant to believe today. That is the echo of a season that has already closed. Stop letting yesterday speak in the voice of today. The you of the past could not see what you can see now, and she would not have believed you if you told her the end was near, because she was still living inside of it. But you are not still in it, you have crossed it. And crossing does not always look like fireworks. Sometimes crossing looks quiet, like waking up and feeling lighter, like no longer carrying someone through your whole body the moment their name comes to mind, like choosing your peace over your pain for the first time in memory and not hating yourself for it. There is a reason this is reaching you on a Sunday, this rested, holy day. The day when heaven speaks the language of completion, when God himself rested after a great work and looked at everything he had made and called it good. And today, he is looking at the work of your inner life, the work no one saw you do, the work you did even when you did not believe you were doing it, and he is calling it good. God is not asking you to relive it one more time. He is inviting you to speak the words over your own soul, "It is done," and step forward as if you mean them. And I promise you, those words can be the most healing thing you will ever say, because a season loses its power over you the moment you announce to it that it is finished. There is something profound about the fact that even God, who needed no rest, chose to model rest for us anyway. He did not rest because he was tired. He rested to show us the rhythm of a completed work, the sacredness of stopping to acknowledge that something good has been accomplished. You have spent so long in motion, so long striving, so long trying to fix, manage, and control every outcome in your life that you may have forgotten what it feels like to simply stop and receive. Today is an invitation to that same rhythm, not because your work is unimportant, but because this particular work, the work of healing this particular wound, has reached its Sabbath. It is time to look at it and call it good, the way God looked at his own finished work and called it good. There is someone who has been waiting for you on the other side of this. Chosen one. Not waiting to fix you, but waiting to meet the real you, the one this whole journey has been shaping all along. Waiting to show you that the life on the other side of your healing looks nothing like what you imagined while you were still in the middle of the fire. I am not giving you a reason to hope out of thin air. I am giving you the truth. There is no reason to keep reading this if you do not intend to receive it. But I ask you to receive it with the same hunger you have carried for your own healing, because it has been coming for you this whole time, and you do not need to hold your breath anymore. You may be wondering how you will know if this is real, how you will recognize what God has actually brought you through, how you will tell the difference between the ending and just a quiet pause before the next battle. And I will tell you plainly. You will know it because of the peace, a new peace that will no longer share space with old anxiety. You will know it because of the way your body starts quietly releasing tension you did not even realize you were holding in your shoulders. You will know it because the voice inside you, the one that used to scream, will grow quieter and more orderly. God does not announce his endings with loudness. He announces them with a deep sense of rest that finally allows you to set your guard down. The guard you have been holding for years can finally come down. You have spent so long protecting yourself, but protecting yourself is something different now. Type yes if this Sunday carries your sign. I also want you to understand something about the timing of your realization. You may wonder why it took this long. Why God waited until now to bring you to this place. Why you had to walk through so many years, so many disappointments, so many false starts before arriving here. But chosen one, timing that feels late to us is rarely late in the eyes of the one who sees the whole picture. He was not slow, he was thorough. He was not withholding your breakthrough out of cruelty. He was making certain that when it came, it would come to a heart strong enough to steward it well, wise enough to recognize it as grace, and humble enough not to squander it. The years you spent waiting were not empty years. They were the years your character was being formed into someone capable of carrying what is now being placed into your hands. There has been a quiet voice growing inside you, telling you that it is not your job to keep this season alive by continuing to suffer. It is not your job to keep proving your strength forever. It is not your job to remain in pain simply because you were once in pain. Because not one day of your life has been an accident, and not one day has led anywhere but where He wanted to lead you. So the days of your pain have been working, and they have been given to you so that you could carry something new. You have spent so much of your life thinking that real work always has to look like suffering. And I tell you on this Sunday that God works in rest too. He is a God who has never said that faithful hands must always stay busy. He has said, be still and know, and then follow. The enemy knows that your season is a finished season. This is why the attacks in your mind have been so loud lately, and why they seem to only be fueling you with old wounds. Because the enemy knows he is losing you, and he responds with his final rage. But rage without territory is only noise, and you do not have to echo it, and you do not have to hold on to it. What the enemy tried to burn you with, you have already survived, which means you have also outlasted it. Chosen one, I can say it 100 times, but I want you not only to hear it, I want you to feel it in your bones. God was never against you during your long battle. God was not hiding from you when you called out in the night. God was not gone when you stood in the place you could not keep losing in. God was in your very breathing, when breathing was all you could manage. God was present in the moments you got up, even though you never believed you would find the strength to. God was preparing you to become a new creation. I want to be honest with you about something. The final wave of resistance before a real breakthrough is often the strongest one. It is the last effort of a defeated thing trying to convince you it still has power over you. If you have noticed the past few days or weeks feeling unusually heavy, unusually chaotic, unusually tempting to fall back into old thought patterns, do not mistake that intensity for a sign that nothing has changed. Mistake it instead for what it actually is, which is the sound of something losing its grip and trying desperately to hold on anyway. A drowning thing thrashes the hardest right before it finally goes under. You are not watching your progress unravel. You are watching the last resistance collapse. There will be things that try to pull you back into old patterns, old habits, old thoughts, old people who have not grown, who simply want company in the same old place you are no longer meant to occupy. You do not have to accept them. You have earned the right, chosen one, to be new, to build a life where the old can no longer follow, to walk in a direction the old cannot reach. Saying goodbye to it does not have to be loud or cruel. It can be quiet and settled, a decision made with a peace that grows stronger the longer you hold on to it. Your peace can slowly become your fortress. People who stayed behind in other seasons might no longer recognize this new version of you, and that is not a loss. It is growth. You were never made to be understood by a season you have already outgrown. You are the new season now, and it is time to stand fully in what you have become. I want you to welcome what is coming to you, because when you stop carrying the finished journey, your hands finally become open for something new to be placed into them. That is the law of the open soul. What you release makes space for what God wants to give you, and you have already closed so many chapters. This next page no longer has to be written with the same fear that colored the last one. For the first time, you get to look at a blank page and not feel afraid of the emptiness. You get to feel the anticipation of an open door instead. Everything you have ever lived through, and every time you felt like it was too late, I want you to know that it was never failure. It was preparation. It was, in the end, winning. Think about your own hands for a moment, chosen one. Think about how tightly they have been clenched around things that hurt you, things that disappointed you, things that never fully belonged to you in the first place. Clenched hands cannot receive anything new. They can only continue to hold what they already have, growing more tired, more cramped, more exhausted by the effort of holding on. God is not asking you to force your hands open through sheer willpower. He is inviting you into a truth so simple that it changes everything the moment you actually believe it. You can simply let go. Not because letting go is easy, but because what you are holding no longer needs you to hold it. It has already served its purpose. It has already finished shaping you. And now it is safe to release your grip, finger by finger, breath by breath, until your hands are finally truly open. And if you feel it, I want to know. Have you been waiting for something like this? A confirmation, a sign from God, some invisible word that told you it is really finished? Have you been the one who says, I cannot keep doing this, and yet you kept going anyway? Have you been the one who asked the sky for a single sign, and now, in this moment, you are hearing it? If this speaks to you, tell me in the comments, because your comment tells someone else watching that they are not alone, and that there is a power in them that already knows they are standing at the end of an old story. If you feel a sudden lift in your chest right now, that is God speaking to your spirit. Understand that the work of forgiveness does not always happen on the surface. It happens far deeper than that, and the world often does not see it until much later. The change you feel inside you is not something you need external proof for. The feeling itself is not mistaken. It is the whisper that the work is already done, long before the rest of the world catches up to what your spirit already knows. The quiet letting go that happens between the old you and the new you, the release you have given freely from the inside, that is the real change. That is the thing worth honoring today. Type 1111 to affirm that it is done in your life. I want to speak now about the specific shape of the freedom that is arriving for you, because freedom is not one single thing. It shows up differently in every life, depending on what has been carried and depending on what needs to be released. For some of you, this freedom will look like finally being able to think about a certain relationship without your chest tightening. For others, it will look like walking past a place that once held painful memories and feeling nothing but a distant, gentle recollection instead of a fresh wound. For others still, it will look like waking up one morning and realizing you have not checked your phone, anxiously waiting for a message that never comes because you have finally stopped waiting for it altogether. Whatever shape your freedom takes, do not measure it against anyone else's freedom. Do not compare your healing to someone else's healing, because your journey was never meant to look identical to theirs. God tailors the release to the exact wound it is meant to heal. And the fact that your freedom might look quiet, might look small to an outside observer, does not make it any less real or any less miraculous. Sometimes the biggest transformations in a soul are the ones that no one else notices except the person living inside that soul, and God, who has been watching every single step of the process. And so, rest. Not as though you are giving up, but as a child rests, warm beneath a blanket while the storm outside the window no longer poses a threat. Rest your eyes, rest your weary hands, rest your old guarded outlook, and trust the ending. It is the deepest form of your faith to be able to say it is over and to mean it. Because the ending was never the end of you, it was the end of the part of you that was constantly fighting. It was the end of a battle, not the end of a person. And the person you are becoming now has a permanent home in this new place forever. Your season of demanding proof is over. Your phase of striving to earn peace is done. And the last thing you carry forward from this moment is simply the decision to say, I am allowed, and to bring that decision with you, letting it settle fully into your bones so that something new can finally move. Sunday has spoken. The power of this day closes yesterday's greatest door, and a new day becomes visible on the other side. It is done. That is what you carry forward as a chosen one. Not the weight of your pain, but the weight of a whole new life waiting to be lived. Not trying to escape anymore, but finally breathing new air. I want you to look back, and I want you to look back with love. Look back honestly, with clear eyes. It may still sting a little, but you are not meant to live there anymore. You are allowed to hope now. You are allowed to rest, to be whole, to be new. You are allowed to build a life that no longer needs to relive its own wounds inside your body every single day. That has always been the deeper purpose of this season, not simply to survive it, but to learn how to be free and to finally choose to actually live. Looking back with love is different than looking back with regret. Regret keeps you tethered to what could have been, replaying decisions, wishing you had known then what you know now. Love, on the other hand, allows you to see the person you were with compassion instead of judgment. She did the best she could with what she had. He made it through with the tools available to him at the time. You do not have to condemn your past self for not having the wisdom your present self has only just gained. That wisdom was never available to her back then. It was something only this journey could produce. So when you look back the way you would look at a child who was doing their very best in an impossible situation. Offer that version of yourself the same grace God has already offered you. It is not a defeat to say it is done. It is one of the most important things you will ever say. It says that you believe in the God of turning points, the God of new beginnings, the one who would never have brought you this far only to leave you unfinished. Come and know this, because if there is one lesson in all of this, it is simply this. You do not have to go through that same thing again. You do not have to relive it. You do not have to carry it again. You do not have to be defined any longer by the person who left, by the hurt that passed through you, by the darkness that tried to settle inside you. But never again. I want you to say it out loud with me right now. It is done. Comment "it is done" if that truth has really settled into your spirit today. I know that sometimes the hardest words to say are the simplest ones, but saying them changes everything. This confession is what the Lord has been calling you toward this entire time. We have all held on to something for far too long. And tonight, or this morning, whenever this message finds you, you are the one who gets to become new. You are not the sum of the things you have survived. You are the one who has crossed through them, the one whose fear has finally been left behind. You do not have to be careful and alone anymore, holding everything you know and everything you dream close to your chest out of fear that it might be taken from you. All of it has been waiting on God while you were being made ready to receive it in a silence that felt unbearable at times, so that you could finally step into a future that is now clearer than it has ever been. If you need this to feel personal, if you need this to feel connected to you specifically, let God meet you fully in it right now. The hunger you have been feeling is not empty longing. It has been God calling you into a completed season. And so I say to you today, chosen one, sitting exactly where you are, however you found your way here, you have made it. Let this word be spoken over you, the word that cancels the old sentence you have been living under. Let your heart be the first place you say it. It is done. It is no longer a prayer you are hoping will be answered. It is a testimony you are speaking with confidence. And the moment you speak it, God will begin to move in ways that will make your new chapter so undeniable that the weight of the old one will fade into something you barely remember carrying. And no one will be able to dim the light that is about to shine through you, because it was never really about you alone. It has always been about what God wanted to reveal through you. Amen. Before you go, I want to speak one more time to the quiet places in your heart that may still be holding on to some fear of what this all means. Because change, even good change, even the change we have prayed for, can feel strange at first. You may find yourself the next morning waiting for the old heaviness to return, checking to see if the peace is still there, half expecting the season to reassert itself the way it always has before. That is a normal response to years of survival mode. But chosen one, Do not let that habitual watchfulness convince you that the freedom is not real. Freedom does not always feel dramatic in the beginning. Sometimes it feels almost too quiet to trust. But quiet is not the same as absent. Quiet is often the sound of something that has finally stopped fighting for its life. Give yourself permission to trust the stillness. Give yourself permission to stop bracing for impact every time something good arrives in your life. You have spent so long expecting the worst that peace itself can feel unfamiliar, even suspicious. But God is not in the business of giving you false peace only to snatch it away. What He has released to you today, He intends for you to keep. Let the stillness settle. Let the quiet become familiar. Let yourself believe slowly, if you need to, that this is not a trick and it is not too good to be true. It is simply true. And if today you find yourself crying, let those tears fall without shame. They are not a sign that you are still broken. They are the natural response of a soul finally allowed to feel safe enough to release what it has been holding for so long. Some tears grieve, some tears celebrate, and some tears do both at once, honoring the long road behind you while welcoming the open road ahead. Whatever these tears are today, let them come. You have earned the right to feel every bit of this moment fully, without rushing past it, without minimizing it, without pretending it is smaller than it actually is. This is a sacred turning point. Let it feel like one. There will be days ahead, even in this new season, where old memories surface unexpectedly. A song, a smell, a familiar street, a familiar face, something that pulls you back for a moment into what used to be. When that happens, do not panic and assume you have lost your breakthrough. A memory returning is not the same as a season returning. You are allowed to remember without being pulled back in. You are allowed to feel a flicker of the old ache without it meaning you are back where you started. Healing is not the complete absence of memory. It is the ability to hold the memory without it controlling you anymore. And chosen one, you now hold your memories differently than you used to. That difference is the proof of everything we have spoken about today. Walk forward now, not with anxious steps, checking behind you every few paces, but with the steady confidence of someone who knows the door has actually closed. Walk forward the way someone walks after they have set down a heavy bag they have carried for miles, feeling strangely light, almost unsteady at first because their body has forgotten what it feels like to move without that weight. That unsteadiness is not a sign that something is wrong. It is a sign that something enormous has actually changed. You are not the same person who started this journey years ago, and you are not meant to move through the world the same way you did back then either. God is not finished with you, chosen one, but this particular chapter, the one defined by that specific pain, that specific waiting, that specific battle, is finished. And what comes next will be written from a completely different place inside you, a place rooted in rest instead of striving, in trust instead of fear, in peace instead of constant vigilance. Carry that with you today, this Sunday, and every day that follows. Speak it one more time, in your own words, in your own voice, wherever you are right now. Say it quietly if you need to, or say it out loud if you are ready. It is done. Not because every circumstance around you has instantly transformed, but because the hold that season had over your identity has been broken. You are no longer the person defined by that chapter. You are the person who walked through it, learned from it, and is now standing on the other side of it, whole in a way that only survival and surrender together could produce. This is your Sunday. This is your finished work. And because it is done, something new has already begun. May you walk out of this moment lighter than you walked into it, and may that lightness remain with you long after this message ends. Amen.